Hi, I'm just sharing the link as I'm aware that I've not really given much notice of when I was going live, so I'm just going to advertise it on Facebook. Oh. Oh, I haven't copied it yet. Let me go to YouTube. Let me copy that. I don't know. I'm not sure why the picture is that picture, but it is. Let's get the Zoom link, which is. It is. Where's the Zoom link? Oh yeah, you go here. Copy invite link. Go to here. And then where do I write it? I'll write it here. Oh, there's no paste. Go here. Okay. To Control V. Brilliant. Post. Okay. Very good. I'm really sorry about that. I'm just going to put the link in the chat as well. I think that's it. That's different to yeah, that's it. Okay, and then I'm going to put the right screen on. Yay, we're good. We're good to go. As somebody once has said. Enlarging that. Do that. Yay! Really sorry. Is everything okay? Is everything on? I think so. Really sorry. I just I was ready early and then things happened and yeah, so I just kind of not too late, but I seem quite disorganized and yeah, I've done really well today. So yeah, it's a last minute fumble around. Anyway, I haven't got a title either because I didn't manage to. What is it, like Zoom meeting or something? So yeah, I haven't got a title, so I may struggle to speak, but I shall do my best and see what comes out. Oh yes, duality. That's what it's about. Hi, Dor. Good evening. Sound and picture. Oh, thank you very much for letting me know. Sound and picture is fine. Yes, everything's on. Oh, no title. Fresher than a baby's bottom. So welcome to the YouTube ZoomTube. I am if you're not aware already, I'm changing what time I do the YouTube, and I'm opting for an evening time. So this is for 5 o'clock UK time, and I will try to do that every Thursday at 5 o'clock. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. If people prefer an earlier time, I'll try and. But this is what seems to be the most convenient time for me at the moment. So yeah, great. If you'd like to ask questions, then you can do it through. You can join the Zoom and ask through Zoom, either by writing in the Zoom chat or through asking to unmute and speaking. Or you can also write it in the YouTube chat. If you're using YouTube, you can do it that way as well. So this channel talks about non-duality, which is another way of saying not to wholeness, undivided. Have a sausage dog can stretch. Pull it quite hard as well. Yay, yay, yay. Yay, yay, yay. Yay, yay, yay. So this feels like such a beautiful thing. Feels like such a beautiful, beautiful thing to express. That this reality, this experience, what is happening, isn't divided, isn't separately happening. It isn't like it isn't happening individually or separately. Like this experience, this reality isn't separate. It isn't divided into parts and pieces. It's whole. It's whole. It's not dividable. It's whole. And that's something that is not discussed or acknowledged or experienced in humans. Normally in human society, this is a separate, it seems to be a separate experience, a separate reality. there really does seem to be separate things, a division between me and you. Yeah, me and you. The wall, the tree, the hand, the other bit of the wall, this dog, this head, these arms, the laptop. It seems as if this is divided. And that seems really okay in the sense of communicating with each other. It's kind of like a normal or acceptable or reasonable way to communicate. And that's kind of obviously where it's come from. It's a way to communicate. This tree, this wall, this house, this person, this laptop, not the other one. It's like a natural, obvious development of our language to speak as if separate, to speak and say I, this body, this machine, I, not that tree, not that person, not that child, this body, I. And then you have the other, so the child, the person, the tree, the wall, the room, the house, the country, the shoe. So what's being spoken about then isn't about that stuff not being the way we function. That would be a understanding or a misunderstanding. So what's being spoken about then is something beyond that. So there's the functioning of being separate, there's a seeming, could say the seeming labeling and language of being separate. But that's not what's being spoken about. There's something deeper than that, at the superficial level of saying I, you, tree, plant, wall, hand. There's something deeper than that. Or you could say that there's something fundamental than that, a fundamental experience that is beyond experience, beyond forms, beyond movement, beyond labeling, beyond the definition. There's something prior to that. And it's prior to, but it's also that prior can seem like it's behind or it's back or something, but it's prior to, but it's also fully forward. It's fully forward, it's fully the experience, it's fully what is. It's not separate from it. It's not like prior to everything that's happening, or prior to form, or prior to everything. It's prior to, it's not dependent on what's happening or dependent on form. So it's prior to, but it's also form, it's also everything, it's also forward, it's also a whole, it's together, it's not separate. So nothing is everything, everything is nothing. There isn't that division. It's just, to talk about it, it's easy to say nothing and then everything, but actually the true non-duality is that collapsing of those seeming descriptions. It's a collapsing or a fullness where it's undivided and it's not possible to favor one over the other or sit in one and not the other. It's whole, it's together. And this is total friggin' love. It's total love. It's total wholeness. It's total completion. It's total wholeness. Can't find me words. It is not separate. It's not a separate thing. And that's what's being looked for, this love, this wholeness, this completion. It's what's being looked for in things, in experience, in form, in separateness, in ideas, in thoughts, in beliefs, in feelings, emotions, ideas, knowledge. It's what's being looked for. And it's right here. It's right here. It's not something. It's right here. As not a thing and as all things. It can't be found as something. Going around trying to find a particular feeling, a particular thought, a particular idea, a particular person, a particular experience, a particular emotion, a particular idea. It's not any of those things. You can't find it as something in particular. That would be limitation. That would be an object. That would be oh, what's the word? That would be like, it wouldn't then be all encompassing. It wouldn't then be everything. It would be one thing, and therefore, if it's one thing, you can then have it and then not have it. Some could have and some couldn't have. It would be over here, not over there. It would be like you could like maybe peel bits off and give to some and not to. It's not a thing. It's not anything, and that's why it's unconditional. It's unconditional. It's the birthright of all things. All things couldn't be without what it is, the nature of it. So form is based upon this emptiness, this formlessness, the birthright of all form, because all form is it. All form is it. I mean, how inclusive can you get? All form is it. All things are it. All experience is it. All feeling is it. All emotion is it. Every idea is it. Every object is it. Every thought, idea is it. And you can't get more inclusive than everything. Everything, everything, everything. Everything. It's beyond your ability to hold. How can you, as a separate individual person, a separate body, hold everything? It's impossible. So maybe this is beyond you. It's beyond this seeming human being. Beyond this perspective of whatever, this perspective, this personal perspective of anything. It's beyond that. This can't be held by anyone. It's free. It's free. What would hold would be an expression appearing, a form appearing, a child appearing, a thing appearing. So this is it. This is it. This is it. This is it. Right here, right now. This is it. This is it. This is it. This is it. Okay, so feel free to write on the chat, ask a question on the chat, or ask questions through the Zoom. The Zoom is in the links in the chat box as well. No one's in the Zoom at the moment. Hi, Hitana. Hi. That's on Skype. Honestly, lots of love. Once a man. But yeah, Hitana, lots of love. Lots of love. Sorry, got a bit distracted then. There seems to be a person. There seems to be a process of destruction going on here. How does one maintain boundaries when everything is lost? Process of destruction. Yeah, total destruction. Total destruction. Yeah, totally. How does one maintain boundaries when everything is lost? Yeah, that's a great question. How do you maintain boundaries when there isn't a sense of position? How do you maintain boundaries? How do you define where you are and where the other is? Have that boundary. Yeah. I recall that I found that quite difficult actually. I think I didn't have boundaries before anyway, before this subject. I didn't have very good boundaries or a sense of who I was. So without a sense of who you are, you can't have a boundary because you don't know who you are. So there's no boundary to boundary. there's no center to boundary. So yeah, I had difficulty with that as well. And then yeah, not having a boundary is really unhealthy, dangerous. It's dangerous. You end up in all difficult situations not having that boundary. So yeah, it's really important to have boundaries. But in terms of this subject, that's more about my unhealthy human, really, more of an undeveloped human. But in the non-duality subject, there is like a pulling away of boundaries in a way. There is a pulling away of that destruction of that who you believe yourself to be, this person, this narrative, this sense of holding on to thoughts and feelings and experiences that is pulled apart, that is being opened and questioned and released and examined and destroyed. But yeah, as a human, it's important to have boundaries. So I'm guessing you already have them, because you're saying maintain them. So you already have boundaries, and you're asking how to. So I didn't have much boundary where you have them, and you're asking how to maintain them. That's difficult. Yeah, I can only assume that you're going to lose them, and you may have to establish new boundaries. But maybe not. I can't really say, because I can only go from the experience here. But if you already have boundaries, strong boundaries, maybe you can maintain them. But I can't imagine that obviously I didn't have them, so I can't imagine you being able to maintain them. I imagine them being destroyed and pulled apart and blown up, and you losing all sense of position or sense of who you are. Or then maybe having to establish them afterwards, maybe re-establish them, and then maybe they would have changed. Maybe they'll become stronger and more clearer. But it's hard for me to answer that specifically for you, because I don't know, that experience of having them in the first place. I don't know what that is like, to have them and then lose them. But I can only project that you will lose them as you lose that attachment to that storyline. Then there'll be a reconfiguration and a losing of them, and then maybe a re-establishing of them. But I don't know. I don't know. Like yourself, I didn't have boundaries either. I learned about them, but now it feels like I have to unlearn them. Yeah. I don't know, because what is really, I don't know about unlearning them. I don't know about unlearning them, because I feel they're important. It's important to have boundaries. It's important to have boundaries, and it's very dangerous not having boundaries and get into bad situations without boundaries, and you're vulnerable, and yeah. So I wouldn't unlearn them. I think they're important as a human to have boundaries. What you will and won't accept, what you will and won't do, what you want, what you don't want, who you are, what your preferences are, how you best operate and function, and being able to uphold those boundaries with other people. I think it's really important. Really important. Otherwise you get stamped on, you get used, you get stamped on, you get pulled here, pulled there. You can't express your own wants, your own boundaries, your own preferences, your own desires, and what works best for you. So it's important to have them and not unlearn them. So yeah, that's about being human and being a more healthy, happy human. Non-duality is more talking about who are you? Like, who are you? Like, who are you? Are you this person that has boundaries or doesn't have boundaries? Are you a separate person? Are you this character, this human expression? And that's the sticky illusion, that you are that character, you are that unboundaried person, or that strong boundaried person. That's the That's the point of non-duality, is pointing out this illusion, this dream. I don't mean illusion as if it's not true. Does seem to be a person. It does seem to be this seemingly individual, let's say, experience, like a human being, but it's not who you are. It's not truth. It's an appearance, it's an expression, it's an operating mode program, but it's not the experience. So it's not who what's experiencing this, what reality is. It's so awesome that isn't who's looking or living. Even this idea of someone, this story of someone, this story of somebody that has good boundaries or bad boundaries, and that's like, it's just like a figment of the imagination. It's a figment of, it's just a story, a character. It's just like a character in a story. And yeah, it plays as if, but it's not the screen, it's not what's actually happening. Yeah. It's scary. Yeah. But it's only scary to that character. It's not scary to life, to what is. It's not scary to. It's only scary to that like seemingly limited narrative, that seemingly limited person. It's not actually scary. It's just scary to that one. But everything is lost. I can't hold on to anything. Everything is lost. But the idea you had a position in the first place, you were holding on to things in the first place, that's an illusion. It feels very true that you are in a position and you are the main driver, the main organizer, responsible one, the one in the position of driving. So it seems like you're losing that seeming control. In a way, it's true, you are, but you never really had it. So I can acknowledge that fear, I can acknowledge that sense of, oh shit, I'm losing control. But actually that never had control. It's a dream acting as if it had that control, believing it had it. It was in charge. But I can feel what that would feel like, that fear of losing control. It's great to acknowledge that fear. It's great to acknowledge it. But there's nothing to run away from here. There's nothing to run away from. The idea of running away to another place, another idea, another thought. We're used to doing that. But this is like revealing something that is home. that is longed for. And that feeling of fear and those thoughts of fear, and maybe saying run to another thought, run to another thing, but actually what is wanted is right here, is this. And if fear is appearing, then fear is appearing. If fearful thoughts are appearing, then fearful thoughts are appearing. And there's no salvation, there's no escape. This escape is there in another thought, but actually that's just another thought, and there's a running into thinking, but actually what is wanted is here. The freedom from that is here, right here. And if that fear is appearing, then that fear is appearing. And it's not this scary thing to be afraid of. So although it's fear, and fear is quite an intense feeling, the sensations of it are quite intense and strong. They're actually empty. They're actually nothing to be afraid of. So fears are really, like everything else, an important emotion, feeling, reaction, sensation, message in the body. Fear, it has a use. It's meant to appear. And if there was really I don't know, a lion or something, a bear, a lion appearing, or even like a crowd of people coming towards you, like with axes and I don't know, but gonna beat you up or something, then yeah, the fear is necessary for you to act, for you to fight, fly, freeze, fawn, whatever, don't hurt me, whatever it is. So those reactions are necessary and important, but obviously there is no bear and lion or crowd of people coming with axes. And so that fear is arising around a thought and a feeling, and the body was responding to that. Yeah, this thought and this feeling as well that accompanies the thought. But this really is where you find freedom. It's not somewhere else, it's just right here. It's not the absence of the fear or the thought. It really is here. This is home. And all things appear here, all thoughts, all feelings appear here. This is where it's at. We're happy when the feeling's a happy one, or there's a joyful thing happening, or a pleasant thing. As soon as it switches, which it does, his thoughts switch, feelings switch, then it's like, this one's problem. This one, the mind starts running. Fix this, fix this, fix this. Avoid this, get away from this. It feels natural in a way, it's a natural response to happen. That we're set up to avoid pain, go to pleasure. It's a natural response. I don't mean to make it to a bad thing, but the body does that and responds that way. Oh, sorry, I have to admit somebody in. I didn't know how to put the waiting rooms on. How do I do that? Oh, not there. I'll have to, if you try and enter again, I'll press the button in time. The button's gone. Maybe you left. Yeah, just try and re-enter the room and I'll make sure I press it this time. So yeah, it's like a natural response to avoid what isn't pleasant and prefer what is pleasant. But that will be like forever of doing that. Like if your freedom is based upon just the pleasure, just the high, just the positive, then you're going to be running from the negative forever and striving so hard to keep the positive in place, which is impossible. Life is full of everything. It's opposites, it's full of everything. I think the mind can see that. It's quite a logical thing to realize that actually life is full of good and bad, black and white, this and that. It is full of that. It's quite obvious, pleasure, not pleasure. But then the habit and the emotions of it, this sense of, oh, I am someone, I am in relationship to that. This grabbing hold of the body, grabbing hold of being the experiencer. Because the body will naturally move towards pleasure and away from pain. But it's this one who's owning that, owning the body's actions, owning the body's choices, feeling as if they are in charge and responsible. This then causes the suffering. Rather than the natural movement away from, it becomes, this is a problem, and it's they're doing this, and it's this is a problem, and I haven't got this, and on and on and on, and trying to solve it, trying to resolve what is simply life happening. What is simply life happening. Trying to make life this way, not this, not that way. It's impossible. So what's being spoken about then is this movement back to that which is free. That which is free. And so the body's choices, the body's experiences, the body's experiences are not dependent upon anything. So they can be good, bad, moving towards, moving away, but your freedom isn't based upon it. Your happiness, your love, your freedom isn't based upon the movements. Life appears the way it appears. There's a reaction, there's a feeling, but it doesn't take away from what you are. I started to sit with the raw feeling and not engage in thought, but just looking at the feeling rather than run away from it and distract. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a great thing to begin to be able to sit through feeling, sit through thought, to begin to open to that possibility that thoughts and feelings aren't what you think they are, and they move through. They aren't going to actually kill you. They are what they are, and they appear and they express and they do what they do. And there's nothing wrong with them. Yeah. But just to point out that it's beautiful, and it's in a way, this is about becoming open to that practice, to everything appearing as it is. But like it's not, what do I want to say? It's not going to lead to you being something. Often we're doing that practice as a way of getting rid of those things. So this idea of you being calm and free, and like not free, but like calm and free of emotion, and like a robot, not having any feelings or any emotions or anything, being like clean and immaculate as a human being. That's not the way life is. That's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Like, we imagine that we want to be like free of like anger, sadness, frustration, fear, and the goal in our head is, if we sit with it, maybe we're going to be free of it and get free of it and be this like unemotive being and be like better than everyone and be free of that part of being human. But life isn't like that. Life isn't like that. Life isn't emotionless. Life isn't free of fear or anger or emotions or thoughts and ideas. It's full of it. It's full of it. You can't escape it. But this is what we are. We are this. We are life. We're nothing but life. There's this empty stillness that is free, but then there's also this fullness that is everything. We're so drawn to the nothing part, nothing, and it is beautiful. It's beautiful, beautiful. Beautiful. But you can't. Life is also full simultaneously. It is nothing and it's empty, but it's also everything and full. And it'd be suffering to try to stay as empty nothing. You'd be suffering and resisting everything. Resist feeling, resist this, resist life, and you can't stay as that. It's a beautiful seeing, or a beautiful like emptying out of everything, but then what's left is everything. What's left is everything. Yeah. That's a journey. Yeah. Was it you trying to enter the Zoom? The Zoom? I don't know if it was you or not. It's not. Anyway, okay, so maybe I leave now. I haven't eaten yet, so I'm going to go and eat, I think. And no more questions. Any questions in the Zoom? No, no more in the chat. Yeah, it's been lovely to share this subject here. So I shall return. Thank you for the questions and for connecting, and I shall be back next week. And yeah, thank you.